is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 80. My name is Zach Graham, your host in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend, and his name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E, a.k.a. Leigh James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chill E. Will E, a.k.a. Joe E. Chestnut, a.k.a. Ian Stonkel. E, midweek here in Austin, Texas, but I know you are getting ready to go back to the homeland up in the Northeast. But how's your week been treating you so far? I haven't seen you in a few days.
It's been pretty solid. I mean, it's just you're bunkered down all day. It's too hot.
Yeah, can't go out.
I just got back from walking Mooch, the pre-pod walk. Try to get the wiggles out, and it's hot as hell, man. It's rough. I know everybody knows that. Another great North End weather intro on the way here. Other than that, I'm good, man. I am heading back to New York tomorrow. I co-host a charity basketball game back at my high school that I graduated from many years ago. At this point now, for a friend of mine who passed away, unfortunately, in college, and we raised money to put into the scholarship that is in her name for a graduating senior at the high school. This is our 5th year. You have played in 3 games? 2 games. 2 games. I'm going on number 5 here. What's your record?
1-1. Yeah,
1-1?
500.
I'm also 500. I wanted to ask the routine players that we get what their all-time records were. I think we probably got a couple guys who are 3-1, but the mix of stink usually spreads to both teams in the game at this point. But I'm really looking forward to that, seeing my buddies up there. Not sure if the stream that we're going to do will be hosted potentially here or elsewhere, but maybe an update on that when I get everything figured out. I got to do a lot in regard to that game, so we'll figure that out. If people are interested, that'd be great. It's been fun. It's not the highest quality hoops you'll see, but it's always a good time. So
it's some good players, man. I mean, it is mostly college and beyond in terms of experience there. But again, a lot of us maybe past the prime there. Just a little bit.
We're beyond college at this point.
Well, and I would like to, I would highlight my first half performances in the 2 games that I've been able to make it up there. Second half, strike it from the record. I think my legs, like Will Bruin's, have about 20 minutes getting up and down there. Let's talk some soccer, though. We can table the basketball talk. And it's somewhat of a slow news week here. The fire and brimstone from the big trade last week is starting to calm down. It feels like a little bit. Obviously, we're going to continue talking about the fallout from the Diego trade, but not a ton of that today. We do have some other Austin FC news to talk about. We got the MLS Players Union dropping the list of upcoming free agents, which gave us a little bit more clarity and also corrected some of our mistakes from the cap sheet that we formulated last episode. So we'll have a little bit more of kind of rules and regulations dive here, correcting some of those things, shedding light on some other MLS quirks that are pertinent to Austin FC at this time. Maybe talk about some free agents that from that list that maybe we could hope to see in an Austin FC jersey next year. We will have some guests. Our buddies from the Verdependent podcast are going to stop by in a little bit. We're going to, chop it up with them and maybe do a little competitive prediction game. We'll see what we can get into with those boys. We've got an Austin FC 2 match to preview. They're on the road again this weekend, taking on the Quakes. Quakes 2 rather, and that was a spicy match at the pitch the first time those 2 teams met earlier this year. And begrudgingly, we have to talk about our round of 16 bets, which is our worst performance of the season. So we'll talk about that. We'll try to get back on track with some of the bets. And hey, 3 of those 6 winners still alive in the final 8 teams. So we're really hoping, especially for Minnesota, that one of those 3 teams comes through for us, helps us out on the units. Let's start with the season ticket news that dropped right around lunchtime today here on Wednesday. Alex Silverman from the Sports Business Journal tweeted out that Austin FC renewed 95% of its 16,000 season ticket holders for the third time in the 3 years of existence. And since joining the league, that paid season ticket wait list, the Oak Collective, right? That list has grown to 26,000. So, we obviously, when the ticket price hikes, the increases hit, 6 weeks or so ago, maybe a little longer. We were, I think, in the majority where it's like, man, we don't like to see our ticket prices go up. I think it made sense, right? And it makes even more sense, at least in my opinion, seeing this number now, or both numbers, because not only did we and a bunch of other Austin FC fans make, a stink, at least raise our voices a little bit about the increases. Almost all of us appear to have turned around and said, yeah, we'll pay it anyways. And then that season ticket wait list growing 26,000. That is more than a full Q2 on that paid wait list. So any thoughts on that news coming out? Because I think ultimately it's good, if you're just talking about the business side of the club, and we're not, we ain't fans of $12 Michelobes or $18 jellyfish, but the club's still doing very well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's honestly great to see. I understand the ticket price increase and the disdain for that. I also understand if it potentially priced some people out and how salty I would be about that if I were one of those people. But it's a numbers game at the end of the day when you're talking about the business side of this club. And 26,000 people on the wait list. Shit, man, that's really awesome for the collective, for the Oak Collective. I understand that there's going to be, outliers and single situations that exist there that really suck, and I can feel for that. But I mean, it's great to see this. It's fantastic for the future of this club. The support is going to be here. I've seen, people have their reaction to how the prices went up, and we're definitely in that camp of, yeah, we don't want to shell out more money. Everything is priced up right now pretty much. So it's still a great thing. I'm excited. You're going to keep seeing sold out crowds. It's going to be a great atmosphere every single home game we have. And that's just a really good thing for everything that we want to do with this team. And shout out to all the fans who renewed, and shout out to the folks that jumped on the wait list and are paying to be on the wait list. So, I mean, you see those figures and the rate of increase starts to make sense.
Yeah. The hunger is still very much there for this team, even through the ups and downs that we've been through over the first 3 seasons.
And that's awesome. I mean, we've been through some hard times here, and now you had the Diego thing as well. And it's like, it's been challenging, but shit, this is a great fan base, man. And I'm just, I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. I wonder, because again, these figures are coming from, we are already, I think, past our second of 6 payments on those 2024 season tickets. So again, the trade that, made a lot of people really upset, and some still just as angry about it. We were locked into these tickets before then. So, but like you mentioned, that sellout streak, right, is likely, I think, to continue throughout the entirety of next season. Even though we know there's not a butt in every seat, especially this year, every game there at the Q. Let's talk a little bit about this free agency list that dropped. And I guess we can, of course, just start with the Austin players on it. And it was good. A lot of these we could find going through the old press releases. You have Will Bruin, Hector Jimenez, Adam Lundqvist, Alex Ring, Memo Rodriguez, and Maxi Urruti, all on options. And again, I don't think we have confirmation that all of those are team options. We know from the Matt Hedges trade that there are different types of options in these MLS deals, and that is not always disclosed what the triggers for those options are. And then you have Ethan Finley, who we knew was completely out of contract and an unrestricted free agent. But what we did learn, and maybe not so much learn for us as just get, bonked in the head, and a nice little reminder here. Free agency in MLS is not free agency that you're used to in your other salary cap leagues, at least here in the United States. So the Players Association did put out a little graphic with this this free agency dump, talking about kind of the history, the gains that the players have made over the last 20 years or so. I did not know this going all the way back to 2003 through 2008. Players had no free agency rights. And I'm not quite sure what that means. So
Yeah.
I guess, like, is it every player whose contract was up that then they were somewhat of like a restricted free agent, like right of first refusal to their previous club? I'm not sure what that means, but it does not sound great for the players back in the aughts there.
No, it does not. Are you gonna share this? Pull this up on the screen here?
Yeah, so we can go ahead and do another lesson in the rules and regulations here.
Welcome to North End University.
Well, yeah, we'll zoom in here. But just going through the rest of this, the reentry draft, which is, we'll talk about that here in a minute, that was created in 2010. And then free agency introduced in 2015. So, man, it's we've said it before. It's crazy to be involved in, and I know we are late arrivals to this league in the grand scheme of all the MLS fans around the country and around the world, but like we're still very much in on what feels like the ground floor for this league.
Absolutely. And I mean, it would be interesting to take a deeper look at why these things were put in place. And like, because I understand they had to try to make it appealing somehow to attract talent from elsewhere. And I would assume that would be the most, coveted result for the league, is to get better players over here from wherever we could. And it kind of worked in terms of those aging stars, but to see, like the skeleton structure of how they were trying to put this together without like the flesh behind it in regard to, well, this is why we did this. It just looks so absurd. Like, it just, you look at the numbers and it's just like crazy. You're used to dealing with contracts who people get paid, like $58 million a year. And like your whole team is 5. Yeah. So it's wild. But, the news of all the stuff that broke out recently in regard to the salary cap and how they're making changes seems encouraging to me. Yeah.
And we'll talk about that rumor here in a second. It's very much a rumor and not necessarily coming from the best of sources. But real quick, diving into the CBA, so the collective bargaining agreement for the uninitiated, the current CBA between the Players Association here in MLS and the league came into effect February 8th, 21. So right before our first season, or Austin FC's first season, rather. And that agreement is good until the end of January in 2028. So any of these like drastic changes that we may see from the league, upon Messi's arrival, the Apple deal, etc., there's going to be some bargaining going on. But, we may see just this CBA thrown out and a new one ratified. I'm not sure how that process would go, but digging into that CBA, I did see, we talked about the schedule of TAM being somewhat phased out and how I had seen that schedule. If you go into the CBA, you can see the schedule for the salary cap increases, GAM increases, the max cap hit on a budget increasing over this time. And then we have some crumbs of how the vet minimum and reserve minimum salaries will rise over the course of this CBA. So, of course, these numbers go from 21 when the CBA was ratified to 2027, the season before this current CBA will expire. The salary, I guess, and we can go ahead and talk about that rumor now. The source, like I mentioned, MLS source on Twitter.
Sounds legit.
Yeah. But that is linked to an account called NYCFC Source, which has a blog and a little link tree. And I kind of went to them. They seem like, and maybe this isn't the best comparison, but they do have some reporting on their website, on their little blog, that is NYCFC related, but they do seem to have some connections, whether it's within that club or reporters around there. And so in terms of their NYCFC reporting, I would tend to trust them like I trust like a Hernan, right? We know Hernan has certain connections where he's been able to break some news in the past. So that was kind of the best connection I could make to what this account actually means. Like, I think that's the best case scenario, right? Because we know we know him in the flesh. He's a real person. There are no actual people that I could find connected with that account. You can't see their face or anything. But so they also run this MLS source account. So we know that somebody is behind this account that at least has some sort of connections around the NYCFC franchise. And they said per their source, again, this is not backed up by anybody that we can call credible, right?
Yep.
But their source told them that the league is planning on adding a 4th DP spot for next season, as well as increasing the cap space to $7 million. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, and we'll just explain it for those on audio only, the salary cap in MLS is scheduled to reach $7 million at the end of this current CBA, when it goes just a touch over $7 million. That's in 2027, though. So if we are full throttle here to $7 million next year, I think that's good. It would certainly help us to have more purchasing power in the coming window, and more ingredients for Roto to cook. But that is going to cause some serious chaos if there's any truth to that rumor. Again, just a rumor, but big changes potentially come into the league. And we know that, that's kind of what everybody thinks is going to happen at some point. But if it is as soon as next season, that's pretty surprising to me.
Yeah. If you look at the things surrounding this, I don't think it's that surprising, right? Okay. We got Lionel Messi here, right?
Sure.
Like, that instantly is going to bring in, I read some great article years ago about how much money, not to make this a LeBron thing, but how much money he brings into your franchise. Now you have to take into account what Messi, I don't know what that figure is, but it's a lot more. Of money. It's a shitload of money. So if you look at that, and then also, think about the negotiations that had to happen with him, with Beckham, the influence that they wield now and kind of hold over the league. So we talked earlier before we got in the show about Suarez potentially going to Miami. So you're going to see an influx of guys who are going to start coming here. And if you look at the increase drastically from this year into next, if this does take place, it does kind of start to make a little sense when you look at the landscape of the league.
Yeah.
And now we've also with Saudi Arabia in the mix, and we're kind of in the same pool poaching these players, and they're offering dudes $1 billion a year. Like, we got to have something in place to try to establish ourselves over top, ahead of them, because they're one of our main competitors right now. So if they do, I say I applaud the league. I say kudos. We got to ramp it up. Like, here's your window, man. He's not going to be here forever. Here's your shot. Shoot it. I'm for it.
Yeah, got to capitalize. And I think that's probably a good point, because 2.5-year deal for Messi. To your point, the changes probably need to come before that 2.5 years is up. That is the end of the 2025 season. Yeah. And so the changes are going to have to come within this CBA term if they're going to happen. So, and also you mentioned, just the bigger profile players. Again, these are all unsubstantiated rumors from accounts that really don't hold a ton of weight in this reporting, but there's reportedly been there's scuttlebutt around names like Mbappe and Neymar. I don't think either of those players are coming, but we also didn't think that Lionel Messi was coming either, at least until me personally, once Mike Ryan was so gung-ho about, this could be a real thing, I started buying in there. But another guy, I also saw people saying that Serginho Dest has been reached out to by some MLS clubs. And again, I don't think that Dest is coming to MLS, but again, it's hard to say never when Lionel Messi just showed up.
Absolutely. You really can't write it off. So it's exciting. I hope they do it. I hope it's substantiated. I hope it's real. I hope they jump it up. We got to make a move. You got to. We just looked at the Liga MX rosters last, 3 days ago, and how much those dudes are getting paid. You see them out in the pitch, and it's like, those are really good fucking players out there.
Yeah. So looking at just finishing up on this chart from the CBA. So in 2027, at the end of this collective bargaining agreement, the salary cap again would be a touch over 7 million. Your GAM budget every year would be a touch under 4 million. And of course, like we mentioned last episode, that TAM budget down to right around 2 million by that point. So your total budget for that 2027 season would be just a hair over 13 million. And again, for this season, we're a touch under 10 million. So there is this planned sustained growth in terms of that salary budget. Your max cap hit also goes from the $651K that it is this year to $883,000 in 2027. That veteran minimum goes from the current $85,000 to $125,000, and your reserve minimum from $67,000 to $97,000. So even if there aren't those big changes coming, we know what is planned under the current CBA. So I thought that was just pertinent to include in kind of our 2-episode saga here, diving into a lot of these rules and regulations that our favorite team, is under. So now let's talk about free agency, because the 2 names that we did not mention on that list that don't appear on the free agency list from the Players Union are Johan Romagna and Rodney Redis. And like we said last time, we do not know that those guys are expiring this year. But if they are not, that means that they were the 2 players that got the longest contracts with the expansion roster. I just don't think that's likely. But Claudio had plenty of fuck-ups, so maybe he did.
Yeah, maybe.
Diego Cerati deserves even more of a bonus than he's already getting from his clients. That guy is just the fucking devil when it comes to Austin FC. So let's talk about free agency and what would happen with those guys if they are indeed out of contract, or even on an option if the option was declined. So we talked about how free agency only came about in 2015 in this league. At that point, you could only be eligible to be a free agent if you were at least 28 years old and had 8 or more years of MLS service, which is, so essentially, there's no free agency, is how I read that.
Yeah, pretty much.
They then expanded that with the new CBA. And so to be eligible for free agency at this point, a player must be at least 24 years old and have 5 years of service in the league. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, again, that just seems like there's not going to be too many guys in there.
Yeah, I mean, at least those 2, Romagna and Redis, because you basically have to be on your second contract. Because who's handing out 5-year deals? Even for the best players.
Exactly.
And
who's
so
signing a 5-year deal at fucking 19.
Right.
With MLS.
right. Owen Wolf, that's about the only one, right?
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He did sign a 5-year deal, homegrown, etc. So there are some out there.
Okay. Yeah.
That probably helps your dad's the coach in that sense. Beginning in 2026, that 5 years of service drops to 4 in terms of free agency requirements. Again, that doesn't do much in my eyes. There are also changes to the maximum free agency compensation in 2026 and 27. Players making the maximum cap hit or less can sign with another club with an initial salary of either $25,000 above that max cap hit or 20% above that player's prior salary, whichever is greater. And then if you're a free agent who was making between that max cap hit and the max TAM amount, so those 5 players that we talked about on Austin FC's roster that are above that max cap hit, your Zardes, your Maxi, your Julio, etc., those players can earn 20% above their prior salary, up to $500,000 above the max cap hit, or 15% of such salary from $500,000 above the max salary up to that max TAM amount. So just getting all of the fine print out there. That is less important to what we're talking about today with Redis and Romagna than the reentry process.
Mm-hmm.
And so the MLS reentry draft is an annual event in which MLS teams select players who are out of contract or who have had their options declined by their current teams. They also have to be 22 years old or older with at least 1 year of MLS service. And they cannot be, again, you cannot get into this reentry process if you are eligible to be a free agent. Stage one, there are 2 stages to the reentry draft process. Stage one, if a club selects one of the available players in stage one, they must exercise the option for that player on their current contract if there is one, or extend what they call a bona fide offer, continuing our references, I guess, of Oh Brother. He's bona fide. A bona fide offer in the MLSCBA is a $15,000 increase or a 10% increase in salary over the player's prior year wages. And teams in the stage one reentry draft may not select their own draft eligible players. So then we get into stage two. Stage two, when clubs select a player, they must make a genuine offer. And I could not find an explanation on what they classify as a genuine offer. I imagine that, or I guess my best guess is that it's just you have to make them a contract offer. So all stage two selections must get a genuine offer from the club that selected them. If an agreement cannot be reached, the drafting club will hold the right of first refusal, which to me, the best way to describe that to somebody like us coming from being more familiar with the other salary cap leagues here in the U.S., it's kind of like a restricted free agency, I guess, more narrowly or narrowing in on that NBA process. And then clubs can select their own draft eligible players after all other clubs have declined to select them in stage two. So if we wanted to get Rodney back, but on a different salary, I believe we would have to decline his option. If he had one, let him go through the 2 stages and then select him again. But players who remain unselected after stage two become available for any club. First come, first serve. So we would have to select him in that stage two at the end. And I believe there is, what is that called? They've got stage one, stage two, and then they just call it round two comes after stage two, which is when clubs can select their own draft eligible players.
Did you see how many? Did you take a look at the 2021 reentry draft?
Yeah, 21. I did not, but I have 22 up here.
Do you want to guess how many dudes went in the 21 in the stage one process?
0.
1.
All right. Yeah, it is
1.
It is not
20th slot.
I mean, there were I guess more here looking at the stage 2 in 2021. Looks like there was 6 players taken, including Brian Acosta by the Rapids. And then Columbus Crew also took Brady Scott off of us in that reentry draft, stage 2 in 2021. Before we get to last year's reentry draft, the players do have some power here. Minimal power, but they have some. Players who remain unselected after stage 2 become available for any club, as I mentioned, but then players may opt out of the reentry draft process prior to either stage. But if they do that, their previous club then retains the right of first refusal. So, for example, if Rodney Redis was put into this process, right, and he opted out, he would then technically be, for lack of a better term, a restricted free agent with Austin, where, let's say another club, let's say Man City, right, they want to sign Rodney Redis, $2 million deal. Austin FC could match that contract offer and retain Rodney Redis. They could decline it and then let him go. So not a ton of power in the players still in this process, or for the players, I should say. But slowly but surely, they're getting there to where this league can maybe just have a normal fucking free agency somewhere down the road.
Yeah, maybe. So this is how we got Sophie.
Correct. So that was why I wanted to talk about the 2022 reentry draft, because Austin FC made the move to get Sophie by trading with DC United. We gave DC $50K in 2023 GAM, and we swapped spots 1 and 26 in the reentry draft, because I believe that is reverse order of I think points per game, if not just the reverse order of the Supporters Shield standings. So we sent him 50K in GAM to jump up to that first spot and grab Sophie Jafal. Clearly, the club made him a bona fide offer, because he then shortly thereafter signed a deal with Austin. There were 2 other players selected in the stage 1 draft. Last year, Toronto at pick 2, Vancouver at pick 12. The remaining teams elected to pass. And then into the stage 2 portion, we had 4 players taken, all with selections 1 through 4. The rest of the league passed. And the highlight there, Bobby Wood going from RSL to New England. Bobby Wood been pretty good for what you can expect out of him as a veteran at this point of his career for New England, holding off Giacomo Veroni for that starting spot up top in New England. And then you had 2 clubs in the round 2 take their own players. SKC took Nicholas Ismat Marin, and Colorado took Lucas Esteves. So that was the 2022 reentry draft. So we do, as a club, have some experience in this process. So I still maintain that I think Redis and Romagna are free agents this year, and that I think they will be put into this process. But that is not confirmed. That's just my best guess stuff.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So let's take a look at the free agent list, you and I. I guess, like I say, we already did. We put a couple names down that we would love to see in an Austin FC jersey. I don't think any of these names, I think we wrote down 5 of them. I don't think any of them are super likely to happen, nor do they all necessarily fit what Josh and this coaching staff are trying to do tactically. But, and we can shout out Logan in LDR Slack, one of the Logans. He immediately was drawn to Romel Kyoto, who is out of contract this year in Montreal. And that was also the first name you brought up.
Indeed.
He would be, I think, a pretty darn good addition. That, again, is probably not going to be like a DP type salary. But we would like to see that. I mean, there's also, you mentioned that. What's that?
We would definitely take it.
Yeah. Let me pull up the MLS salaries here, too. Just as we're talking about these players, we can kind of see what kind of salaries they're actually on. So Kyoto is on a TAM deal. He is making it's essentially compensation-wise, it looks like it's about the same as Diego Fagundes. So I know for me personally, I would like him if he was to come here, come a little bit cheaper, but you may not be able to get him for cheaper than that.
I mean, like, ideally, we get a lethal 9, and then you have G and one of these other veteran strikers that are available. Like you brought up Kai Kamara. He's going to be 39, but the man is still scoring goals and is a clear upgrade in that Will Bruin spot that we have right now. So, I mean, ideally, it'd be great to pull in a really nice 9 who can get his own shot, who isn't just reliant on the service they're receiving from crosses and from wings and from, interplay. So I would like to see a 9 that can go get their own shot and just like has a nose for goal, Yeah. And then you can try to fill that out on the backside. Obviously, we don't think Will Bruin will be back. So I think having a nice veteran presence behind a younger 9 is a great idea there. And Romel Kyoto fits that kind of profile for us.
Yeah. And maybe we could get him on a little bit of a cheaper deal, a little bit of a discount from what his current deal is, because he's 32.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know how well he kind of fits in there as like that somewhat of like a second striker as he's been playing for Montreal over the last season plus. Julian Gressel. And look, I think this is way far-fetched because Columbus did just trade for him. And we know that he wants to be on the East Coast. But if Kevin Morris got his way and we're moving to this 3-back full-time, Gressel is by far, I think, the best right wing back in this league. So that would be a hell of a catch. Don't think
that would be awesome. And I mean, like, if we can get, I still am interested to see if we are going to utilize that formation a bit more, because that's going to change our free agency targets and how we prioritize these guys. You brought up Gressel there. I mean, you just go scroll down to LAFC and you can just be pretty upset at the fact that, they just have these dudes coming off contract here. You see Diego Palacios, who, if we're moving into some sort of, back formation with some wing backs, would be just fantastic to have. Let him fly up the side of the field, maybe take Adam Lundqvist's spot. What an upgrade that could be.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to work with here, and still it's just so hard to it's like, obviously with Roto, you have all these connections throughout the world, and limiting ourselves to this pool necessarily, like where we want to allocate resources and how much money we're paying these guys, is difficult right now. But yeah, Julian Gressel, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think both of these last names that I'm going to bring up, again, far-fetched, but fun to dream about. Christian Espinoza, like putting him on the right in our attack. Again, we love Ethan Finley, but Christian Espinoza would be a hell of a get. And then Nico Ladero is also out of contract. Of course, I still think he would demand a DP salary. But I don't know how redundant it would be to have him and Seba, or if it would be redundant to have him and Seba next to each other in the midfield. But I know both of us really enjoy watching Ladero. So being able to get him maybe on a shorter term deal, because he is an older player as well, it would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I brought this name up, I think, a couple shows ago, but Darlington Nagbe is just so good. I know that one of the last games I was watching with the crew, they mentioned how he wanted to be in Ohio, which might be the first time anyone's really said that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, again, he's not coming either, but God, just on my wish list, I think he might be at the top just because he makes everybody better, and just a great player who makes really heady decisions pretty much every time he gets the ball. There's not a lot of mistakes made with him, and he's just fun to watch. I really enjoy and appreciate his entire game.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. Again, I think the biggest splash signings that are going to have us and the fan base buzzing are going to come from outside of the league.
I would hope.
Yeah. And again, there are how many other guys are either on an option or out of contract that don't qualify for fucking free agency? The list might be nearly as long. I don't know.
I would imagine. I'm trying to wrap my head around why they're trying to do it like that. They don't want you to like come over for 2 years and then go sign elsewhere and then be available. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, like, so technically Lionel Messi wouldn't be a free agent when he's up because in 2.5 years, because he doesn't have enough MLS service. I don't know. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk a little bit about Leagues Cup. We're going to have, I think, a longer discussion. We are also going on the Verdependent podcast today, so you're going to get a lot of North End in your ears to close out the week. So I know we're going to have a lot of Leagues Cup discussion over there, but you and I just maybe wanted to highlight. I guess let's start with the Listener League, and I guess we can pull that up here on the YouTube channel. So we're into the quarterfinals. All 4 of those matches taking place, I believe, on Friday night. The round of 16 was, we'll talk about it later, hurt our wallets for sure, but was extremely, extremely fun to watch, at least in my opinion. Awesome. Checking in real quick on the Listener League standings. We've still got P. Mike Hayes up there holding on in first, 740 points. There is a 3-way tie for second between Craig, Austin, and Josh, 30 points behind P. Mike. I see Uncle Drew. Tim has now, of course, jumped me. I'm still sitting in fifth. If I could bitch for a second about this competition, the fact that you had, for the bracket, you had to pick the group stage right. And if, like, say, for Minnesota, for example, I have Minnesota going all the way to the 3rd place match in my first bracket, but because they got second in their group and not first where I had them, I get 0 points for them advancing. It just, I think next year, if we could, look, MLS, you should put us in charge of all of your fantasy product. When you do this next year, there just needs to be group stage, and then you set your bracket.
Correct.
It's not fun for, like, if somebody gets half the group stage right and then their whole bracket right from there, but they just weren't in the right spots. I don't know. It just seems dumb to me.
Look, the soccer has been great. The logistical setup of this tournament has been not great. Not the best. I have loved the tournament. I have absolutely loved watching these Liga MX teams play. Watching Monterrey last night versus Tigres was just, it was awesome. I had so much fun. My free agency, I'm not under any sort of restrictions for my fanhood free agency. So I'm currently weighing out my options in regard to what Liga MX teams I'm going to affiliate myself with right now. You know, Club America, they got the sweet. I love their jerseys. Sweet jersey. They got the collar.
That would fucking fit you, front runner.
They're
like yellow, the Lakers of Liga MX.
The yellow. I was told Monterrey was the Lakers of Liga MX.
Nah, we're talking about Club America.
Well,
I think both of them. The Monterrey's the Celtics. I'm right now. I'm not making my decision until the end of the tournament. But Querétaro for me, Profe has almost converted me. Talking about Gallos Blancos, the White Roosters. Like I think I'm in on them, man.
It's a good name. I'm getting to take everything to account here. Who's on the team? How do the jerseys look? How are the fans? Like, it's been fun. So Monterrey's out in the league right now for me in regards to who I might be signing with here. The jerseys are terrible. Those are some bad jerseys, so that takes a knock. Also, God, how many sponsors can these teams get?
Yeah, it's like a NASCAR
ridiculous, bro. Like they're just crazy.
Hey, you got to pay for those 11 guys on $1 million plus salaries somehow.
I guess. Shit, man. It's been so much fun, and we talk about having some dog in you when you're out there on the pitch, and every single time one of these Mexico teams play, they bring it out. I love seeing how competitive that they have been in these tournaments. Yeah. And it's just like, we want this fucking trophy. And I'm starting to see a little more how, the fans that we have in our fan base that are coming from these teams are like, man, we got to be balls to the wall on these tournaments. And it's just been so much fun to watch these clubs. It's been great for the league too. And some things to polish up. It's our first year, so I've loved it. I've enjoyed it. I don't know if I've scored a single point in the knockout thing because my group stages were not correct. But I mean, like, I have Monterrey winning, and that's you've
got 3 of your final 4 are still in.
Yeah, right? I got Monterrey versus Philly in the final, and then I got Minnesota winning the 3rd place game. Yeah. But I don't think I've scored a point. Not in the right places.
Oh goodness. I mean, how about one last thing, man? Last night, the America Nashville game, I turned it off.
Yeah,
Club America won the penalty shootout. They're celebrating. I flipped. There were 3 penalty shootouts going on at once.
It's crazy.
And so I flipped to another game. An hour later, I see that Nashville is the team that advanced. And like, look, the officials, the VAR did get the call right. But God dang, did it take a long time.
Like I said, some things to clean up here.
Let's go ahead and move on. Let's get those Verdependent boys in here. We've got the Logans and Paul coming in. So we are going to jump over to our talk with those guys, chop it up a little bit, and then we'll come back and close out the pod. So let's talk to the Verdependent. All right. As we teased earlier in the episode, we are joined by our buddies from the Verdependent podcast. We've got Low Bar, we've got Low Joe, we've got Low Paul. So Low Bar, I'll start with you. I guess tell us a little bit, any of our listeners who may not be familiar with you guys, who you guys are, what you're about, where we can find you, all that stuff.
For sure, man. Yeah. So the Verdependent podcast, that's our name. We started this season. I think we're about 14 episodes in now. Check out episode 14 to see our collab with the North End boys. And yeah, man, we're just here for the vibes. We do a little data analysis here and there. We do a little kind of like a temperature check of where the season's at. We do some world footy stoppage time and whatnot, and just talk through what's going on around at Austin FC2, World Cup, etc. But yeah, man, we're just here to vibe together and talk Austin FC. We do it all the time in our group chats. And so we figured, why not do it on recording? But you can find us everywhere: Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, wherever else. So we're out there, man.
Lojo, I'm happy that we have the video portion of the North End podcast, because you are sitting in front of some of the nicest memorabilia I have ever seen. And I say that as a guy with a lot of memorabilia behind me every episode.
Hell yeah.
Talk to the people.
Yeah, man. As Lobar said, this was just one of those things that made it out the group chat for us. We'd just be talking post game, Sunday morning, just kind of saying what's up, We just
Tuesday
were
at lunch.
Tuesday at lunch, Wednesday playing video games. And, we just kind of wanted to put this out there and just get people in a conversation, get our conversation out there and just kind of see what we could do and just have fun with it. So that's where we are at.
Well, you guys certainly are doing that.
Like
I said, we're big fans. And as Lobar said, episode 14, we just recorded that. So North End Podcast, Verdependent, full collab over there. Paul, last but certainly not least, we met you first in person before the two Logans. The one time that the North End has ventured down to the supporter section, we ended up standing right in front of some great trumpet playing. Paul, tell the people what you got going on.
Yeah, man. So most of the folks know me from La Murga. I'm a section lead over there. Played trumpet there since season 1, pretty much. And met the Logans just through our shared love of our team here in Austin. It's so cool to still say that it's our team here in our city. But yeah, man, you can catch me pretty much tooting the horn wherever Austin FC plays generally. If I'm still up for it, I know this season's kind of been up and down and I've had a little bit of a mood swing myself, but things have been, all right for the most part. It's been a blast chatting it up with the two Logans. I've affectionately dubbed myself Low Paul just to kind of feel in the loop there. But yeah, no, it's all good vibes. And we're really just here to kind of grow the love of the game, the love of Austin FC, and wherever else that, that leads, that's where we're going to be.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite things for anybody who has not listened to the Verdependent before, it is kind of that all-encompassing look at the world of soccer. You guys aren't just talking MLS. You're not just talking European football, but a lot of women's football as well, whether it's Austin Rise here in town, NWSL, Women's World Cup. That's something that I appreciate, being able to kind of keep up with some of that through you guys. So what we're going to do here, again, you get almost a full hour of all 5 of us chopping it up over on episode 14 of the Verdependent. But the competitive bastards that we are, we had to have our friends on here. We are going to predict the remaining 11 Austin FC regular season matches. And in the process, figure out which one of us is the most optimistic, maybe foolishly, and which one of us, based on our predictions, is the most pessimistic looking towards the backstretch of this season. So, boys, we're still 10 days away, I think, from Austin FC getting back in action at St. Louis City. I mean, this is for us. We have had this game circled on our calendar since the night of the opening loss. Right. That whole debacle. Yes, Paul, I noticed you throwing something up there. So I'll just start with you on this one. What's the result of Austin FC going out to St. Louis? First time we've ever played at that brand new stadium that's going to be rocking.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy madness, and it's going to be a little bit too much for us coming out of a really long break. So I've got us getting 0 points. That's an L for us on the road.
All right. Well, then E, look.
Oh, he has never got a spreadsheet.
Look, a spreadsheet guy. Has never picked anything but an Austin FC win on this podcast. So this might be either the easiest exercise for him or he's going to break the mold. We'll find out. E, what's going down in St. Louis on the 20th?
I am anticipating an Austin FC win.
All right, let's
go. I don't know if that's a shocker.
My man is buying the S&P 500 every time. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, I think we owe them one. I think that the boys know that we gave one to them. And like I said on our last episode, it's going to be interesting to see how the narrative switch for this team affects the play. I am of the mindset that we're going to be a little bit more free, a little bit more open. I'm not saying that Emi Rigoni is going to have a resurgence, but getting him on that left side is where he has shown
that's true.
He's been the best. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go with a dub because we owe him. And like you said, we have it circled on the calendar. We haven't thought about driving out there. Can't do that.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not sure we can say that Emi has been to a level this season or anywhere in his Austin FC tenure where he can have a resurgence. But we'll see. I mean, we'll take some elevated play out of number 7 there. Lojo, St. Louis. I mean, for me, fuck these guys. How do you see this game?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love for E to be right. I'd love to see us come out rejuvenated, long break. I just don't, realistically, man, I just don't see us doing it. St. Louis, although they've come down from the high they hit real early in this season, I still see them as probably a team that's going to beat us. So put that as an L.
Big L for Lojo. Low bar. What about you?
Yeah, so I'm going to be the first one to show kind of tempered optimism here. We have 2 L's so far. I'm going to give it a draw. And I think they have a solid home record. They've won 8 of their 12 games at home. We have a pretty mediocre road record, but I think it's time that each of us get a little draw on the column. Both of us are coming out of a long break still. I mean, they have the next week and a half or so of break as well. So I think hopefully there's some rejuvenation from our guys, but I'm going with the draw.
And the update on Klaus?
I think he's still been struggling with the injury, man. I know that he had a setback from the initial injury, but I have not checked his status since the last time we played MLS Fantasy. So a couple of weeks for me since I checked in on the Brazilian there.
I can't believe he's Brazilian.
I know. I know. Look, man, these guys are not good, in my opinion. And I know I've said this the entire season, and they maintain their first place position in the West. But this is a dub for me.
Hell yeah.
Copa Tejas finale for Austin. And it could be the finale overall if we get a win or a draw on the road here August 26th. That is going to be our second ever road match that we will attend for Austin FC. The first one was San Antonio. So hopefully we are not cursing this team on the road. And I don't think we get a win here. I respect the hell out of Dallas. And they are out now, so maybe I would think we could pick up the 3 points if they had stayed in Leagues Cup and been a little bit more tired, but they get a decent break here too. But I'm not going that crazy. Draw, and that would clinch the Copa Tejas for the good guys. So I'm going with 1 point on the road at Dallas. Lobar, how about you?
Yeah, man. I'm going to go with an L, respectfully, to our boys.
Respectfully.
I think Dallas has been, even though they lost that game to Miami, they still put up goals. I mean, they're scoring at will. Their offense looks amazing. What's his name?
Ivan Velasco.
Yeah, thank you, Velasco. He's looking great. He was dancing all over that team, and
dude,
he really was around Busquets and Alba like it was nothing. So I think he's going to keep shining. I think Jesus is going to continue his streak of just dominating us every time they play. I'm unfortunately going with the L.
All right. And then Copa Tejas still attainable with a loss, but we need some help from that final Dallas-Houston match. I think that is in September. Lojo, how are you looking at this? Come on, man. We got to get some points here.
No, definitely. I'm with you. I feel like there's a little bit of passion in this game for us. It's probably one of the very last minuscule things that we have to play for this season. And with that heightened emotion, I think we squeak out a draw. Same result as last season when we went to Dallas. I have to say, all 3 of us were in Frisco last year when we clinched Copa Tejas. It was a great away day. I hope the same thing happens for you all. Yeah.
All right, E. What about Dallas?
It's a dub. Look, Velasco was all juiced up because he was playing his hero. He's not dancing on Danny. And we're going to get Seba, game winner. Eastradamus, book it. Get the meme ready,
bro. Hell yeah.
Lock it in. I can't wait for when we get into these October matches and we get some Eastradamus calls. Those will come true. I can tell you that right now. Paul, you picked the L for St. Louis. Is it turning around in Dallas?
I've gone back and forth between an L or a D. So I think there's a part of me that wants to be optimistic here. I'm really nervous to see this resurging form from Velasco. They've also got a brand new addition to the attack in Bernard Camungo, who, is looking really good up top there for them. So I think if we can squeak out with a draw, I'm thinking I like Seba scoring on the road again. At Dallas, and I think if we can do Finley's probably going to show up. So I say Finley and Seba goal, and then fucking Jesus and Kamunga goal, just to, even that out. I think we're going to go with the draw there.
All right. And that'll get it done for the Copa Tejas. We'll take a back-to-back supporters trophy. Let's switch up the rotation a little bit here. Seattle coming to town. This is our first home match after the restart. Seattle coming to town has not left us walking away from Q2 happy, especially in 2021. Lojo, can we get it done against the other green team? I guess there's also Portland coming later, but I have a little bit more respect for this Sounders club.
For sure. I feel like they're pretty mediocre, not mediocre, but just even keel right before Leagues Cup, just pretty even. But as you mentioned, we haven't had very much success against those Pacific Northwest teams. Seattle coming to our home. I think my very first match ever was actually the Sounders game where Rui Diaz hits that half field just across.
Right in our faces there in 123.
Oh my gosh, that was tough. I think this one's an L.
All right, starting off with an L. And Lobar, how about you?
I'm putting L as well. I think in the same way that we owe St. Louis one, Seattle owes us one. They're going to get some redemption. And mean, this is at this point in the season, we're more or less. We're right behind them in the standings. They're fourth, we're fifth. And a few games into that, we're really going to be in that final stretch for playoff positioning. I think they're going to take the opportunity to make that distance even larger between the two of us.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking of the table position of not just Seattle, but Frisco and St. Louis, like these three games are very important at the top of the Western Conference coming out of the break.
Yep.
Paul, you guys have been just, so even keeled with your predictions, not leaning in to the spiel by E, where you predict only wins. Is there a win coming for you here at home against Seattle?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with this being our first home game back. A lot of good energy being placed back in Q2. I think we dueled them really good away on the road. And something tells me that we're actually going to pull off quite an exciting multi-goal festival against the Sounders. So big dub here against Seattle. Put that one down.
That would be a huge dub. E, what about you?
I'm going to Paul's festival, man. It's a goal. I'll be there. Return of Leo Väisänen, maybe. Get him on in second half here, maybe 20, 30 minutes for the man.
Yep. Yeah, we did get the updated timeline from Josh in the last press conference, or the last time he did a little injury rundown. Mm-hmm. And he kind of put that return more at the end of September. Put that extra month on the timeline. But I don't think Leo Väisänen's availability is going to affect your prediction, is it?
No, it's not. I see you already put me down there. You can just go ahead and get that copy paste going. Save me half a second every time type in W.
Hell yeah, bro.
I'm going to go with a draw here. I think there is the potential for the multi-goal festival, to be sure, but it is the first home match since the trade. What is that energy going to be like? I'm a little bit more unsure on that. So I'm tempering my expectations for once with the draw against Seattle. Then we go back out on the road. This would have been a reunion match for our ex number 14. We'll get the reunion later on in September, but at New England, I'll start us off here. I think this is a loss, boys. Like, as long as New England is healthy, Carlos Gil, Georgi Petrovic, my boy Giacomo Veroni, I think we put up a good battle in this one. I don't think we're getting steamrolled, but I do think we come home empty-handed here. I'm going to go with a loss. E, what do you got?
Well, look at you. That's your first loss prediction there.
Yeah. It hurts.
They're not DC United, so.
Okay. Well, DC United coming up later on the schedule. Paul, how about you?
Yeah, man. Kind of similar to what you were saying. They're running at pretty good capacity in terms of like they don't have that many injuries happening right now. If I'm not mistaken, I think also Gustavo Bo is still available for them. So yeah, that's going to be tough to manage, just a little bit too much for us. That's an L.
Gustavo Bo, one of the free agents, completely out of contract on that list that the Players Association released today. Lobar, what are you thinking here, taking on the Revs? First time we've faced this team in club history.
It's true. I mean, they're second in the East, and they're the last undefeated team at home at this point in the season. They haven't lost a game.
Says a lot.
So I'm going to go with an L here. They're going to continue to stay undefeated at home.
Lojo, well, you got to bring the vibes up here, man. Can we at least get a point?
I'd love to, man.
Lord Redis comes through, right?
Lord Redis hat trick. Man, they're keeping their goalie. They're keeping Petrovic. And if I'm not mistaken, prior to Leagues Cup, they were picking up points in 9 of the last 10 games that they played. I mean, that's a well-oiled machine right there. And I think we, get run over by it. I think give us an L on that one.
Well, we shall see. I mean, a lot of uncertainty surrounding that team right now. Bruce Arena in some hot water. So maybe they're feeling a little bit different come the beginning of September. But after that match, we do have a 2-week break. The 17th, we're back at home hosting the Portland Timbers, who in 2021 were just our little plaything when they came to Q2, dominated them twice. But then last year, a frustrating matchup against Portland at home. So Portland coming to town. I'm going to say the good vibes are rolling here. Give me 3 points against the Timbers. And Lojo, tell me what you got here with Portland coming to town.
I might go with you on this one. I'm tired of being a little pessimistic here. Let's give the boys a dub.
All right.
I feel like Portland this season is a little bit of a wild card. They've got some good players. That Evander guy's killing it. But who's just to say, Austin comes off 2 straight losses, according to what I'm saying, of course. And so, we need to get a win. Let's go home and let's do something. So give me a dub.
Look, we will need that dub because if what you and Lobar, and I will say even Paul with his 1 win in there, if that is what happens coming out of the break, things are going to be on fire. Lobar, how do you see this Portland match playing out?
Look, man, here's where things turn around for me. I'll never bet against Austin when we're playing Portland at home. I don't go fuck about 2022, man. I think Alex Ring, he comes back in this game. He gets to start in the midfield. He serves as a proverbial captain for the team, and we get the dub.
All right, 3 dubs so far. Paul, we going to keep that going? How do you see the Timbers match playing out?
Yeah, no, I'm also hopping on this train as well. Portland at home is a dub for us for sure. And yeah, let's just keep that going.
Clean sweep?
I'm going to go ahead and go with a loss here. This is a dub. Look, we got bit by the injury bug tough in the first half of the season. We have this break here. I was wondering, speculating, holding on to this optimism that I have that maybe we can get healthy and get moving forward in the right direction, and that bowing out of Leagues Cup was actually better for us in the long run than the trade happened. So that kind of got a little messed up there. But this Portland team, man, I feel like they've been resting on their laurels a lot this season and been up and down and inconsistent in a game that we can win. The Seba revenge tour is about to be sick for the end of the season. He's going scorched earth now.
Yeah.
Oh, I want
we
that.
Love it. Nobody let Gio Savarese and the Timbers see that and put it on the bulletin board. We are not trying to do that. But a clean sweep.
Right.
Please don't laminate that.
Yeah. Here's a tough matchup. At least a team we struggled with at home last year. We struggled a lot more with pressing teams in 2022 and have done better, I think, at that this year. Maybe
for sure.
at the expense of some of our potency on the offensive end, but going to Red Bulls this time around. Paul, let me just go back to you. Do we handle Red Bulls here? Or is this another tough outing for the Verde and Black?
Yeah, I'm struggling with this because when we faced Red Bull at home, they were kind of on the come up on the East. Right now, they're not doing as hot. And so something tells me that we actually come out with a surprise dub on the road in New York. So you can go ahead and book that one. That might be a fun trip to go out to as well in the Big Apple.
Yeah, we could go back to the motherland there, make a little New York trip out of it. You never know.
Right.
Lobar, how do you see this? I mean, Red Bulls, man, I mean, they've had a tumultuous year, but they still play such a chaotic style.
Yeah, they have, man. I think this is going to be game 2 in a stretch of 3 games in 7 days. We're bookending that week with games at home. So I think the mind's going to be on the Diego return at home at the end of the week. We come out with a draw. We get the job done on the road, get a point, and come back home.
All right. Lojo?
Prior to getting pulled into picking Portland as our first dub after the All-Star break, I really thought going to New Jersey, New Jersey.
That's right.
I thought going playing the New Jersey Red Bulls would be our first dub of the after the League's Cup. So put me down for a W.
All right. things are turning around in mid-September. W Street continuing?
Indeed. Superior state, inferior team.
All right. There you go. Man, I can't believe I'm the only one here. I've got an L. I think this is the game. You guys mentioned 3 games in this week here. Portland at home, and then the other bookend with the Galaxy, the Diego reunion. I think we also rotate here, trying to get all 6 at home. And I guess I'll lead us into that Diego rematch. Reunion. Excuse me. This is on my birthday, so there's going to be a lot of emotions flowing in the North End, but I think we get it done. Give me all 3 points at home there. And Paul, let's jump down to you. And if you guys have anything else to add about this match, what you're looking forward to, maybe what you're a little nervous about, I don't know. This is going to be an experience.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, let me just go ahead and hit you really quickly with the head-to-head between us and LA Galaxy. 4 wins to 1. That's LA to us, right? There have been no draws, right? And that's 9 goals to our 3. So something tells me that this is going to be an elevated match, obviously, with the whole Diego reunion. We don't do well with maybe a bunch of emotional fans all over the stadium. And Diego is actually going to be the one that puts the dagger in us. That's what I really think. So that's going to be a dub, or excuse me, that's going to be a L for us, dub for them. Yeah, it's going to be tough. That's going to be real tough.
And look, hey,
and everyone's going to be clapping too. Watch.
Yeah,
not everyone,
not me.
Right.
Look, we to your point. The last time, I mean, we had the Cecilio silence protest. That was also against the Galaxy. They get an early goal, pack it in the rest of the match for the 1-0 win. But the one time we did beat them, Mackenzie Gaines, first goal. Musa Jite, first goal.
Yes,
so
sir.
look, I maybe there's a little bit more magic here, and there's no way you're not picking a win here, right?
Hell no. This team has given up the most goals in the Western Conference. We are going to be scoring on them, and it's going to be an interesting game. I don't know what to expect. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to clap for Diego when he gets introduced and let him know I love him, and then he's on the other team, and we blow the whistle, and I don't love you no more. And then after the game, I can give you a round of applause for everything you've done, and we'll head our separate ways.
Yep, I like that. Lojo, how do you see this playing out?
I'm kind of in the same line of thought as Paul here. I'm just thinking about our track history with LA and Ricky Puig terrorizing us and Diego coming in wanting something. Yeah, I see maybe even a 2-0. We might get shut out this game. I don't know. I'm scared. I hate it, but put me down for a loss on this one.
I'm sure the response from the fans will be well thought out and measured. Low bar. All right, come on, Verdependent. It can't be 3 L's here, can it?
Don't worry, it's not. There's only 2 L's in the Verdependent. There's only 2 L's on the sheet from us. It's a W for me. It's a W for me. And I say because Diego comes back. Yes, it's going to be a lot of emotions. The players see what the fans say online. They know what's happening. Wolf's probably printing that shit out and be like, "This is y'all's team, not Diego's." Like, prove it. You know what I mean? So I think they come out and say, look, Diego was great, but he's not here anymore. It's our team. And they dominate like they should against a inferior team, and we get the dub.
It's going to be a lot for Diego too. Let's not gloss over that. It's going to be emotional for him as well. And to go out there with all that adrenaline and, expend it pretty quickly, it's going to be a challenge. I don't know how he's going to respond, but it's going to be a challenge for him too.
Yeah.
If he scores, does he celebrate?
Oh, you bet your ass he does.
You think so?
I don't think he does.
He's going to take his shirt off.
I think he keeps a little respectful. He takes his shirt.
Yeah. Come over, hit the LV.
I was going to say,
oh my God. I would
maybe hit the LV.
Honestly.
Everybody cries.
Maybe run over to Josh. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look, one team that does not have anything to do with Diego except from our memories is the Colorado Rapids. So we're going up to Denver after that to close out the month of September.
Yep.
At Lobar, I'll stick with you here. It's never easy going to play in the elevation. And we played them on the 4th of July last year, down 2-0 very quickly. Then all of a sudden up 3-2 almost as quick. That was the Maxi Iahora goal, talking to the VAR about his supposed handball.
Exactly.
Does Austin FC get it done in Colorado again?
I think, we do have 6 days off after Galaxy, but I think the emotional toll is going to stay on the guy's mind. That being said, I think we get a draw out of this. Colorado's the worst team in the West. We do have a track record of playing down to our competition. It's not not the best thing about this team, but I think we squeeze out a draw and keep it moving.
How about you, Paul?
Yeah, I'm actually on the exact same boat as Lobar here. It's going to be a draw for me in Denver. But God damn it, man. I really hope that we are able to squeak by with more than just a point against Colorado. Tired of playing down.
Well, and who knows what Colorado looks like at that point. They could be out and rotating similar to how we saw them in the last game of the regular season in 2022. Austin still not able to get it done at home in that game, but that was a red on Lalas Abubakar. I will maintain that until 100%, I die.
Yeah,
100%.
Lojo, what happens in Colorado?
I'm going to go with my Verdependent boys and say throw some D's on that, yeah, truly, let's not forget Colorado's made a few good additions in this past transfer window. They're standings wise, they're a bad team, but they've done some stuff, and we're talking about playing down to teams. Hopefully, those new additions are firing, clicking. We might play just as good as them and get a draw, because I think that we might see an upward trend of Colorado in this second half of the season, but. A draw would be great for me in Mile High.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado being able to add a guy like Jackson Valti is, it's franchise altering. Shout out to the Grill Master.
Oh yeah, dude.
Assist in his first appearance for Rapids too. But you guys come back down here. We won't boo you too loud. I also have a draw here against Colorado. So maybe you're gonna break the streak here. Look at that. Of draws.
You're all just followers, man.
I started sheep.
Lobar started, you followed him. Yeah, this team sucks. Now Leo's back.
Yeah, hey, yeah.
Leo potentially back.
Yeah,
Five back.
There you go.
Mark that down. Well, that's a dub. Come on.
All right, dub. And then let's stay with you here, because this is your favorite team outside of Austin FC. The Fightin' Runes, DC United, coming to Austin after the legend of Pollo was born at Audi Field last year. They're looking for revenge. Wayne Rooney on the sidelines. What happens in Austin on the 4th of October?
Sorry, Wayne. I'm truly sorry, but yeah, we're getting a dub there.
All right, 3 points against DC, and I will follow suit there. Taxi Fontes off DC, off of our best ball team, and stay the fuck out. 3 points for Austin FC against DC United. Lojo, how you feeling about this one?
Hurts me to say this against my childhood team, but I think Yeah, but I'd say DC gets the L here. Austin walks away with 3. Yeah, as you mentioned, Taxi Fountain's on the outs with DC United, and I think we take advantage of that.
Lobar, how about you?
Keep it going, a dub. I think
Oh,
at this
boy.
point in the season, we're at the final few games, and we're going to be on the edge of the playoff race, and we see the opportunity.
Paul, are we all eating W's here?
We're all eating, man. I will say I at least want to see a Christian Benteke goal just because that man, like live in person, there's something about him. He's just so imposing up top that like I have to see him dunk on somebody. Please not Julio.
Whose team?
But we'll still get the dub. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, we can always sign Amro Tarek to a 1-game contract because if you need somebody to get dunked on,
that's right.
Amro's your man.
We still got Nick Nima too. I mean,
that's also a
Throw him
possibility.
out there as center back. Let him have it.
That makes sense verticality.
This may or may not be the home match of the season anymore because of what has transpired with Diego and that Galaxy match in September. But regardless, LAFC coming to town, it's always a big ticket. And Paul, let's just start with you. Let's go back in the reverse order of what we just did, DC. Is Austin getting points off LAFC again? Because that buzzsaw is humming. 7 goals against Juarez, 4, I think, last night against RSL. I mean, it's a long time from now, but are we getting a result?
Yeah, man. Given the current form that they have right now, and the again with LAFC, it always goes back to depth, and that's the hardest thing for me to struggle with because I think we can go toe to toe with our best 11. From there, numbers 12 down, we're not cutting it. So I think if we squeak out with a dub, great. You can put me down for one, or excuse me, with a draw. Put me down for a draw, but like something tells me that it's going to be worse than that. But on paper, I want it to be a D.
Lobar, how about you? I mean, this team coming to Q2 last year was euphoria.
Yeah.
That was one of the most fun 90 minutes we've had at our home stadium, but maybe a different story this year.
Yeah, I think if LA is still, I mean, shit, to the point that Paul made, though, they have the bench, they have depth. Regardless, I think they come here and they take the dub and they leave the L here for Austin. It's just they're too good. They're too good.
Daddy Buwanga.
Cannot argue. Lojo, how about you?
Yeah, man, it's an L. You just heard Paul say it, but Bawanga keeps me up at night. Just not only secretly watching his highlights because he's amazing, but also because that man is a problem. Hat trick in our last game against us. I'm almost certain he puts at least another one in against us.
Don't make me start the chant. Don't make me start the chant.
This will be our 4th game in 13 days, I think. With a lot of traveling from. Well, really, I guess it's a lot of home games. Regardless, a lot of games in this stretch.
Traveling to North Central Austin.
Yeah, facts.
Are you deviating from the group here? Are you shaming the non-believers?
I would never shame people.
Just educate us. That's all.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that we serve some compromised Bluebell to LAFC for this matchup here. And I think that's the only way we can escape with a victory. So I'm going to have to get my hands on some of that. Dysentery blue.
Bro,
use your mercenary army.
Look, this is David and Goliath. This team is an absolute juggernaut. Watching them steamroll everything that comes in their path is humbling. We've played them tough at home, and that doesn't mean we're going to beat this team, but I'm going to say we're going to beat this team.
Damn right.
All right. Well, I don't have much to say that already hasn't been said. I've got an L here, but anything we do get out of this match feels like house money to me, at least here in the middle of August.
Yeah.
Then you've got a week off before decision day. I believe everybody gets a bye week before decision day. Mm-hmm. And boys, when we did our schedule release live stream back in, I don't know, December or January, we looked at the end of the schedule and said, damn it, at San Jose. Are you kidding me? I hope that we do not need a result here because San Jose is still one of the few teams that we have not beat.
Yep.
And I don't think we get it done here. I've got us getting a draw out there. We've had plenty of those against San Jose. There's always chaos against these guys, and I have no confidence in predicting a win. So I'm finishing off with a draw. E, how about you?
I'm going to go ahead and say a loss here just because I'm not a lunatic.
First loss ever predicted by E.
Oh my God, he held that so good.
There you go. Lojo, how about you?
This is going to be another frustrating draw against San Jose. I don't think I've ever left a game where we've played San Jose and just been okay and content with it. There's just so much frustration playing this team. One of my favorite players, Abobasi, puts one in against us. We draw, and I hope, as you said, I hope this doesn't come to bite us. But
yeah. Well, hey, E, I mean, I'm shocked at the loss prediction. But hey, even Poppy picked, or even Poppy said he wasn't interested on some days. It's a deep little Lebitard show cut
see how
for
I
you.
feel on October 21st.
Yeah, I have a feeling you might have a different tune on that episode. Lovar, how are we closing out the regular season at San Jose?
Yeah, man. My uncle, he lives out in the Bay Area, and he and I texted on the day the schedule dropped earlier this year, and made a bet. And I said, we're going to beat y'all at home.
Hey.
Decision day, and it's going to be the decider that keeps us in the playoffs. So it's kind of working out where that might be the case. You know, if we beat them, we might stay in the playoffs, and I'm going to stick with it. It's a dub.
Let's go.
I like it. Paul, how are we closing out the regular season, man?
I'm going to be full disclosure here. I'm going to be in London with Logan and Logan on this day.
Oh, okay.
Preparing to watch a Chelsea Arsenal fixture at Stamford Bridge. So all that to say, I really could not give a fuck what happens at this game. But we're going to take a dub on the road at San Jose. The first time getting a result against these guys. But yeah, I'm just going to be riding that London wave.
All right. Well, there you have it. If my math is not failing me here, and boys, it does frequently. E, unsurprisingly, the most optimistic. He's got 30 points from the remaining 11 games. I think that will probably put you in the top 4, and then who knows how much higher.
Yeah.
The most pessimistic is Lojo. I think we've got 12 points here from Lojo. Lobar at 15. I'm at 16. And Paul, you're the second most optimistic. You got 18 points for the Verde and Black.
I hate when that happens.
To close out this season. And boys, I think the good news is that even with Lojo's 12 points, that would put Austin FC at 44 points, and in all likelihood, at least into the wild card game. So nobody is saying here that we are going to outright miss the playoffs. And at this point, with our boy Diego gone, I think we would all just take that and hope that this team does not bottom out over this 11-game stretch.
Absolutely. I'm taking a wild card at this point. I'm good with it.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, I will also take the 30 points from E and the number 2 seed or whatever that would end up being.
Another CCL berth?
Yeah.
Please.
Hell yeah.
Well, boys.
Where's Violette?
Yeah.
We're coming for y'all.
Boys, this was a blast. A little bit longer than we thought it was going to be. It's late. We appreciate you staying up with us and joining the North End. We will have to do this again. And like you guys said on the Verdependent, maybe in the offseason, we get into some more nonsense like this. Lobar, Lojo, Paul, one more time, tell the people where they can find you. We'll start with Paul.
Yeah, you can find me at Paul Andrew FC on Twitter.
Lojo.
You can find me at the Lolo Jones.
And Lobar.
And you can find me at Lobar VHLM.
And that is the Verdependent podcast. You can find them at the Verdependent on Twitter. Make sure you go check out episode 14. Rate, review, and subscribe to those guys as well. Help every Austin FC content creator grow their footprint. It's the good thing to do. Boys, one more time, appreciate you being on the podcast. Just a couple more things to wrap up here. And we'll catch you boys next time.
For sure.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank y'all so much for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right, so closing it out here with a little last business day. Austin FC2 coming off a shootout victory at LAFC2 against Maxime Crépeau. You suck at Crépeau. And looking to get some more revenge here on San Jose 2. Of course, San Jose, they won 1-0 at the pitch on May 19th.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall if this was, let's see, home. Yeah, handed us our only home loss of the year. Austin FC2, 9 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss at home so far this season. So, yeah, revenge for sure on the mind, at least for us, and I imagine for the coaching staff and the players of FCTO. We remember, if we're going to talk a little Quakes 2 here, I think everybody who was in attendance and maybe watching on the stream of that match, Oscar Verhoeven, who I think was called, Slim Shady, was called Earthworm Jim in the stands. He was the man of the match on FOTMOB in that one. He was very good. He is I think, U17 player for the U.S. Youth Men's National Team. I think you said that you had seen rumors a while back that Wolverhampton was looking at Verhoeven. So I guess that's where I'm starting, because in trying to do the little bit of research we do for Last Business Day at this point of the season, we remembered Verhoeven. We went to look at what he's been doing, and he appears to have disappeared from the stats, both on FOTMOB, on the Next Pro site. You tried to click on his profile. It was unclickable for you. Couldn't find any news about him being transferred or otherwise. So not sure what is going on there. There is a tweet from the Town FC, which I think is a Next Pro Oakland East Bay region account. They had Verhoeven on there, and they said he was going to take the pitch this Saturday. So I think we should expect him to be out there. Just not sure what's going on with his stats disappearing from everywhere. So this is certainly going to be a challenging match here for the Young Verdes. If we look at the Western Conference table, San Jose in the top half, 9 points back of Austin FC2, but they do have a game in hand. They have won 3 straight matches against St. Louis City 2, against Loons 2, and then most recently a 4-1 victory over Galaxy 2. And we know that Galaxy 2 is awful, so taking care of business there were Quakes 2, 20 games, 33 points. They have a +5 goal differential, 25 scored to 20 against. And of course, still Austin FC2, 32 goals for, 13 against, and 42 points from their 21 matches. Obviously, we know about Verhoeven, right? Some other guys to look out for. If for some reason Oseni Buda is down and playing with Quakes 2, that is the man to watch. Buda, I believe, was the player who drew the penalty on Nick Lima at San Jose last year that ended up tying that match at 2. He has played 5 matches with Quakes 2 this season, so spending most of his time with the first team. But in those 5 matches in Next Pro, 4 goals and an assist. So watch out for Buda if he is out there.
Looks like he got some run in the Leagues Cup matchups that they had. Yeah,
he was. I mean, expanded rosters, etc. Yep. And Jose, another team that bowed out early in the group stage. Roberto Hadigan was the player that scored at the pitch back in May. I believe that was from the penalty spot, if I recall correctly. And then if you look at like their FOTMOB ratings, William Richmond, Cam Silly, Casey Walls, all up there in terms of their overall performance on FOTMOB's algorithm. They are led in scoring this season by Eduardo Blancas. He's got 5 goals. They are led in the assist department. 2 guys tied here. You've got Richmond in there, and then Jose Serrano also with 3 assists. So Blancas with his 5 goals and 1 assist, leading the team, tied with William Richmond, 6 goal contributions. Let's talk about so I guess Emi Ochoa also. I know you brought him up. I think minimal appearances for the youth national team, but still a very good keeper. And I think you mentioned you remembered some of his saves, like they stood out to you from that San Jose match earlier this year.
Yeah, like you said, the only team to beat us at home here. That kid had a great game. He's only 18. We did a little bit more research on him, and he's the second youngest player to ever sign a pro contract with MLS. He's a great keeper. It was a good game when we played them. I had a good time at that game, and Verhoeven was an excellent talent, and I liked the kid. And, our fans were giving it to him, and I'm fine when the player does their job and gives it back to you. Like that's part of the game. So it's going to be a good matchup. And I know that they're fighting for position where they're at in the table now. And we're still just chasing that Colorado team. So it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it and excited to dive into our FCito boys here.
Yeah. So obviously coming off the penalty shootout win over LAFC2, if CJ is out there, we know he's going to do his thing. When we recapped that match on Sunday night, it wasn't a super eventful match, but nearly everything that stood out to us, Fodry was involved. We saw Micah out there getting another start. We saw Sebastian Pino up top again. Anthony DeAnda made his first professional start. We could maybe see that again. Any takes from you, lineup desires here? I mean, I know my desire is to see Charlie Asensio or David Rodriguez back on this team because, again, no updates yet. Hopefully we're seeing those guys back soon because, the team has been maintaining for sure. Without them, they've done that throughout this season, no matter who is available. But it's better to have those two guys out there. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. I mean, the questions I had surrounding this team when we recorded, I don't know, a week and a half ago was, what's up with David? What's up with Charlie? What's going on with AOC? What is that situation? So it's still the same lingering questions. We're not getting any updates on them. Hopefully both of those dudes who are injured are progressing well, and we're gearing them up for the playoffs. We got 6, 7 games left? 8?
Something like that. I can pull it up here.
In regard to the lineup, obviously, if CJ's with the club, you plug him and play him. Mike has looked really good, really solid over the last couple of weeks here with this team and his new starting lineup. Valentin Noel, you know what you're going to get out of him. He has been consistent all year. I love being able to watch the development of Czech Torre on that backside, a dude who has adjusted his position to, really just kind of grow into it. And I'm glad that we have him locked up now going forward as well. Obviously you're getting Damian in the net, best keeper in Next Pro, although Ochoa is quite
he's up there too. Yeah.
And I hope DeAnda gets another run at it. And you said, obviously, every time we talk about this team, you talk about the depth, you talk about the midfield, how many guys we can put into position there. You got Ramirez, you got Steve Louis John, you got Bobo. So Mooch is up from the long nap. So I'll pass it over to you.
So to your point about the remaining schedule, including this match, 7 games remaining in the regular season. So we're getting to crunch time here in terms of that regular season slate. This match will kick off, I believe, 9 p.m. Central is kickoff here for FC2 out there on the West Coast in San Jose. So only one thing left to do here, E. How much is Austin FC2 winning by on Saturday night?
I think we just give it right back to them 1-0 in their house. A good game. This is a good team again. And if Verhoeven's out there and Ochoa's playing and they have, forgot his name now. It's a difficult name.
Buddha?
Yeah, Buddha. Yeah. If they have him as well, they're going to have some skill out there. So I think it's going to be a 1-0 game that we win and pull out and head on home with 3 points.
Couple frustrating results. Colorado, I think LAFC, I think the guys were probably a little bit frustrated with not being able to score. So I'm going to say they come and they don't just get the 1-0 revenge. They add a second on late as San Jose stretches it out, trying to equalize. Give me 2-0 FCito here over Quakes 2. And again, as always, we don't care how you get it. Just bring us home the 3 points, boys. Good luck, and we will be cheering for you.
Absolutely.
Let's close out episode 80E, going through the disaster that was our round of 16 picks. Over. And I think when we do this, we've done it once before, the other worst week of the year. It was months ago. But it could provide me the proper sound effects here as I read off our bets. Miami was at even odds. Minnesota plus 125. RSL plus 390. That was a 2-unit hammer. Philly minus 135. Houston minus 110. And Club America plus 145. Wrap it all up. Minus 7 units on the week. I don't know if you heard, it was not widely reported, but sources were telling me that the goalposts were moved from negative 30 units to negative 40. We are now sitting at negative 38.68 units. The wallet's hurting after this weekend. So not a lot of games to choose from, and recording here on Wednesday with these Friday matches, a lot of books not putting out, the goal scorer props or anything where we could probably just get too cute and lose some more money. So we've got a few picks here, only 4 matches on the weekend, but I'll kick it to you to start it off. How are we shaping up here in the quarterfinals?
We are bouncing back because there's nothing to do but bounce back in this situation after the disaster that we just suffered here. So I am going with my Liga MX Club.
There you go.
Baby. I fucking hate LAFC. I hate watching them play. I hate watching all of their players that they have. I'm going to say Monterrey goes in there, get him at plus 205, shocks that team.
All right. We would love to see it. The hate is strong here for LAFC on the North End podcast. Just one for me this week, or here in the quarterfinals, and it's going to be a parlay of 2 of these games. Give me Philly to win, and Philly taking on, of course, Querétaro, my Liga MX team. So look, it's been a good run for us here, E. But I think Philly knocks them out here. We'll see. I'm taking Philly to win and Inter Miami, Inter Messi, however you want to refer to the hottest club in this tournament. Only scored 2 goals in the opening match against Cruz Azul. Of course, the GOAT came off the bench in that one. Since then, I believe 4 goals, 3 goals, and 4 goals. So I'm going to go Philly to win and Miami over 2.5 goals. And that little parlay is going to get me plus 232 odds. So that is my one pick here in the quarterfinals. And hopefully we have some other, some more, goal scorer bets, etc. for the semifinals. But that's my one for this week. You have another one?
I like it. Yeah. Another team that I've been touting. Sorry that my RSL pick didn't get to work out and went in there and beat LAFC. Would have been good. They had some chances, man.
The first half they played well. I thought
really well. They did.
And then Buanga.
Yeah. And then Denny Buanga does what he does. They played well though. So I'm going to go ahead and take another club that I've been touting for a while here, and that's Minnesota. Their attack is absolutely fucking lethal now. You got Pookie, you got
Plangwane.
Terrible. Yeah. And then obviously 10 there, Reynoso setting those dudes up. They're a lot of fun to watch too. I don't like Nashville after last year. Hani Mukhtar making his MVP run last year looked like it was not a fluke at all. So can't help but respect that. But I'm still going to go ahead and take Minnesota plus 295. Excuse me. Minnesota plus 295 versus Nashville.
I like it. And Hanny's been fantastic in the league. I will say Nashville's still in it. So maybe my hatred here is a little bit misplaced. I just don't think he's had that great of a tournament here in Leagues Cup.
They've been really strange in this Leagues Cup, and obviously you see the result with Club America last night, and that's an interesting one to say.
Your other Liga MX team.
Yep. So hopefully they get him here. Minnesota.
So quarterfinal picks. He's got Monterrey plus 205 to beat LAFC. He's got Minnesota, the Loons plus 295 to beat Hanny and Nashville. And I've got the little parlay here. Philly to win and Inter Miami over 2.5 goals scored. That's plus 232. Those are the semifinal picks. And crossing our fingers that we have another no more offers the rest of the year.
Look, we make the picks. What y'all decide to do with them, that's on you, baby.
That's on you.
That's on you. We're just giving you the info.
All right, everybody. That's going to wrap up episode 80 of the North End podcast. All right. What do you got?
Before we go, happy birthday, Primo.
Hey, yeah. Happy. You see the picture that Bolly posted them at Peter Piper Pizza?
At where?
hey, that's an Austin thing, baby. Peter Piper.
There's a couple things in Austin, and none of them are good pizza. I can assure you that.
Well, so look, it's a battle, I think, between if you're a '90s Austin kid, Peter Piper, or Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, well,
it's
two shitty places for pizza.
Shout out Primo. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Primo.
Yeah, shout out Primo.
And that will wrap up episode 80 of the North End Podcast. If you've got 5 more seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Help us grow the podcast. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit that thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the re-entry process of MLS. We will be back on Sunday, recapping Austin FC 2's revenge match against Quakes 2, talking about any other Austin FC news that comes out between now and then, and of course, talking about Leagues Cup, the quarterfinals, talking semifinals, making our semifinal picks, and hopefully raking in a few units to help that number get back down to -30. Enjoy the rest of your week. Travel safe. You will be remote on Sunday, so we will work that out. Everybody else, hope you have a good week along with us. We'll see you back here on Sunday. Until then, he's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.